When you hear Lean Six Sigma belts, what do you think of? Probably some kind of corporate ladder, right? A climb from one level to the next. But today, we're going to look at it in a totally different way. Not as a climb, but as a natural journey of growth and mastery. And we're going to explore what might be the most crucial stage of that journey, the black belt.
You know, the whole idea actually comes from martial arts, where it's all about a tree's life cycle. And this illustration, it just perfectly captures it. Each belt represents a stage of growth, from a tiny new seed all the way to a mature fruit-bearing tree. This metaphor, right here, is the key to understanding what each of these roles is really all about.
So let's start at the very beginning. Every journey has to start somewhere, right? For Six Sigma, that starting point, that seed, is the white belt. Just think of it as a fresh start, a mind that's ready to soak up the foundational ideas of process improvement.
And what happens to a seed? Well, it sprouts. This is that next stage where a learner, influenced by these new ways of thinking, really starts to grow. They begin developing a real skill set and becoming more self-sufficient. So welcome to the world of the yellow and green belts.
Okay, so here's where we start to see the difference between those early roles. You've got the yellow belt who kind of gets it, you know? They understand the basic language, but then you have the green belt. These are the worker bees, the ones who are really hands-on, collecting data, doing analysis, and helping out on those bigger, more complex projects.
Which brings us here, to the mature tree. We're not just talking about individual growth anymore. This is about strength, about leadership, and about bearing fruit that benefits the whole organization. This, right here, is the Six Sigma black belt.
So what is a black belt, really? Here's the key thing to remember. This is a full-time, dedicated leader. They're not just chipping in on projects. They are the project leaders. They're the ones managing the most complex, most critical improvement initiatives that an organization has.
And this chart, it shows you exactly where they live. Just look at that top right corner. We're talking high complexity and high impact. Black belts are the ones who get handed the biggest, trickiest challenges that demand advanced tools and some really deep analysis.
And yeah, these projects are no joke. We're not talking about quick fixes. The projects a black belt leads are super strategic. They often take more than 6 months to complete. This is about playing the long game, you know? Making real, lasting change.
So what does that leadership actually look like day to day? Well, it's the whole shebang. They're leading teams through every single phase of DMEC. You know, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. They're managing the timeline, teaching their own team members how to use the tools, and they're the ones reporting directly to the higher-ups. Bottom line, they own the project from start to finish.
Okay, but to lead at this level, it's not enough to just be a good manager. You have to be a master of the tools. And this is where a black belt's technical skills really come into play.
Look, at the end of the day, Six Sigma is all about data. And for a black belt, that means having some serious expertise in statistics. We're talking intermediate to advanced level. Their decisions aren't just gut feelings. They're backed by hard statistical proof. Take something like this, a fishbone diagram. It's a classic, right? A black belt uses a tool like this to methodically pull a problem apart piece by piece, helping their team find the real root cause, not just slapping a Band-Aid on a symptom. It's all about structured, methodical problem solving.
And I love this quote from the source material. Excel is usually too limited for most black belts. Think about that for a second. The most common data tool in the business world just can't keep up with what they need to do. That tells you everything about the level they're operating on.
So if not Excel, then what? Well, they're using specialized statistical software, stuff like Minitab. You absolutely have to be proficient in these pro-level programs. It's the only way they can do the kind of deep, complex analysis those big projects demand.
And this is where our whole tree metaphor really comes full circle. Because a mature tree doesn't just stand there looking strong, right? It enriches the soil all around it. It creates the conditions for new life to grow. And that is maybe the most important role of a black belt, mentorship.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Once you've reached that level of mastery, your focus completely shifts. It's not about your own personal growth anymore. Instead, you start to find real purpose in helping develop others.
And this isn't some fuzzy abstract idea. They do this in very real, tangible ways. They're actively teaching the tools and methodologies. They're coaching the green and yellow belts on their own projects. They are literally nurturing the next generation of experts. They're not just growing a tree, they're cultivating an entire forest.
So let's leave it with this question. An organization's biggest problems, its greatest challenges, they require its most mature, most capable leaders. The black belt is that leader. So the real question for you is,
How is your organization cultivating its own forest?